Welcome back, casual gardeners. Gardening season is about to kick off, and I predict that we're going to have a lot of new gardeners this year. So we should probably talk about how you can do this whole thing without spending a bun's load of money. And if you are a long-haired hippie type like me, just coincidentally, a lot of these things will help reduce your carbon footprint. Number one, don't buy stuff you don't need. You don't need a greenhouse. You don't need raised beds. You don't need fancy tools. You don't need seed starter trays. You don't need a soil blocker. You don't even need running water. You can use all of that stuff and it will make your life easier. But those are not expenses that you absolutely must do to be successful as a gardener. If you're gardening to save money, make sure you're spending money only on what you absolutely need to garden. All of these hobby things that hobby gardeners like me are going to be spending money on aren't necessarily going to be what you need just to save a little money. This is stuff that we're buying for fun. Number two, start from seeds. A lot of people will buy vegetable starts from, say, a big box store or a nursery and then plant those in their gardens. That'll still save you some money, but if you want to save maximum money, you need to start from seeds. A packet of tomato seeds, even if it costs $6, is only going to cost the same amount as 3 or 4 tomato starts. And you can usually get like 20 or 30 tomato plants from a packet of tomato seeds. So the math is clear. You don't need to buy the starts. If you can avoid buying the starts and start from seeds, you're going to save a lot of money. Number 3, save seeds from your garden. Do you know what's cheaper than buying seeds? Not buying seeds. Any vegetable that we harvest mature, like tomatoes or some peppers, those are vegetables that it's really easy to save seeds from, because you can just reach in there as you're eating your delicious garden fresh tomato and take some of those seeds and dry them out. You've saved seeds. You got free tomatoes next year. It doesn't require any special equipment, and it will take your seed cost from some dollars to no dollars, which is fewer dollars. And I just need to say the benefits of saving seeds will multiply if you can build a gardening community and swap seeds. Number 4, start a compost pile. You can make a pile of stuff for free and then turn around and use your pile of free stuff to save money. A lot of hobby gardeners, myself included, spend money on pretty compost piles. But a compost pile just needs to be a pile to work. It doesn't have to be pretty. That's a hobby thing, not a necessity thing. If you can make a pile that is about a meter or a yard wide and a meter or a yard deep of greens and browns, that is a compost pile. You can have a pile on the ground that is a compost pile, and that is free. You can use that free compost to improve your soil, to mix a DIY seed starting mix, or potting soil. You can use that compost to add fertility to your soil. You can use it as mulch. Compost is amazing and it doesn't have to cost you anything. Number 5, use free mulch. Mulch is free. Mulch doesn't have to be that stuff you buy in the bags at the garden center. Most of us have access to free materials that we can use as mulch. For example, instead of having the green waste truck take away all the leaves that I raked up last year, I have bags and bags and bags of leaves in my shed, and I'm super excited to shred those leaves and use them for mulch this year in my garden. If you're not using herbicides on your lawn, you can use your lawn clippings for a mulch, and that is high in nitrogen that will be contributed back into your soil. And if you don't have access to a source of free mulch, I mean, maybe you're an apartment gardener, that's okay too, because someone you know will have access to free mulch materials, and most people do not appreciate what a wonderful thing that is and will give it to you for free. Number 6, use free containers. I'm not saying I'm encouraging you to be a hoarder, but I'm not saying it. We throw away pot-shaped containers all the time. Save it poke some holes in the bottom of it, and use it to start your seeds, or to pot up a seedling that you've started in a smaller container. This was cottage cheese. You can also reuse pots that you've cleaned. Oh, maybe not this one. You can also reuse pots that you've gotten somewhere else. Say you buy a beautiful plant and you're like, okay, I'm gonna plant this plant and now I've got a pot. You've got a pot. You don't have to buy pots. What happened to this pot? It's got big old holes in it. Now, if you're really, really crazy, you don't have to use pots at all. It's called soil blocking. I've done videos about it. I'll pop a couple links down in the description if you're interested. But soil blocking means that after you buy your soil blocker, you do free potting forever. No pots. Number 7, focus on high yield crops for your area. Some vegetables yield more per unit area than other vegetables. Examples of high yield vegetables are lettuce, spinach, beans, tomatoes, and squash. These are all vegetables that kick out a lot of poundage of edible goodness without using up a lot of space. Number 8, I've already hinted at this one. Build a community or find a community of gardeners. We often get more seeds in a packet than we can use that year, or sometimes we'll collect seeds from one crop successfully but not from another crop, or maybe your beans do well this year but not your lettuce, or whatever. If you're part of a gardening community, you can help even those bumps of production out. You can trade your lettuce seeds for some tomato seeds. You can trade your onions that did very well for a couple of squash that you didn't have success with this year because of the stupid squash vine borers. Oh, I hate them. But whatever the case, if you're doing well in an area and badly in another area in your garden, being a part of a gardening community and sharing your produce with each other is gonna make it so much better. Number 9, catch the DIY bug. It's cheaper if you gotta have a greenhouse, and you don't. It's cheaper to do it yourself than it is to have professionals come install it. If you need hoops over a raised bed, it's so much cheaper to do that yourself than it is to buy a kit. If you need a cold frame, you can find some free scrap lumber and free bricks and a free discarded window and build that cold frame. I think compost counts as DIY because you're not buying that pre-bagged stuff at the big box store. Okay, number 10 is save water. Use less water. Very few of us actually have access to secondary water or water shares, and that means that some of us are going to be cultivating our gardens with culinary water, and in some parts of the world, like this one, culinary water is pretty expensive. So if you can use less of it, you will save money over time. You can install drip systems. You can use that mulch material that you found in your area for free and use that on top of your soil to reduce water loss. You can collect rainwater, which will reduce the amount of culinary water you have to use. And contrary to popular belief, it's probably not illegal where you are, but double check. Finally, you can focus on crops that just use less water. I think beans are one of the most water efficient crops that we grow in our gardens, especially bush beans. So if you can grow bush beans, then your calories per square foot are going to go up compared to the water that you have to use to cultivate those calories. Now, I did not cover all of the ways you can save money in a garden, but I'm going to do your attention span a favor and call this the end of the video. Make sure you do that like and subscribe thing that everyone always asks you to do. We're not kidding. It helps us out a lot. Also, you make a bunch of noise in my comments about whatever. I mean, even if you just type out noise, that helps. The algorithm doesn't read your comments. And if none of those sound like any fun, just transfer money directly to my Swiss bank account and we'll call it even. Thank you as always for joining me here in my garden, and I hope you have a wonderful time in your own.